All right, I'm here. I'm here. Mhm. Let me. This is not what I'm going to be looking at. Hello, everyone. Are you there? Yeah, somebody's coming. People are coming. What was I going to look up? Sorry. Stop sharing that. Oops. Not what I meant to do. Try that again. All right. Now, I was going to. It's not the paper I was going to pull up. See post. Is that it? Just trying to find this one article. Come on. Wait a minute. Why is it? Mm. Hold on a second. Updates. I can't do two things. I can't talk and scroll. International. Come on, people. Come on in. Come on in. This is not what I was looking for. All right, let's just go to. Daniel got a job working at this time. That's why he's not here now. Come on. This is not dumb computer. I don't like laptops. I don't want it to open in a new window, but it's going to open a new window, and you guys aren't going to be able to see it. So it's now opening in a new window, and so I am going to copy. Paste. By the time I get this up, I don't know if I'm going to find the article I want. Come on, you can do it. Zawtonk. There we go. Okay. All right, this is the article. Hold on, let me zoom. Hi, everybody. Yeah, should. You can talk and scroll. Okay, here we go. All right. Hello, everyone. It is the Armenia update. I'm just going to read this one article, and then I'm going to point out a few things, and then I'm going to update. So, little bit misleading headline. Little bit misleading. I'm going to say overall, this is a good thing happening, but there's a bit of an issue with it, a problem with it, and I'll point that out in a second. Bipartisan congressional letter urges Rubio and Waltz for U.S. action to free Armenian prisoners, strengthen support for Armenia amid Azerbaijani threats. On April 8th, a powerful bipartisan letter by 25 members of the Congressional Armenian Caucus called on Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz to secure the release of Armenian prisoners illegally held in Azerbaijan and strengthen U.S. policy safeguards. Oops, I didn't click on the article yet. Please don't open it in a separate window. It's going to open it in a separate window. Oh, no, it didn't. Good. Sorry. Crying prematurely. Bye. Okay. Mm-hmm. Reports the Armenian National Committee of America, the ANCA. The letter, led by Congressional Armenian Caucus leaders Frank Pallone from New Jersey, David Valado from California, Brad Sherman, California, and Gus Bilirakis, Florida, comes in the wake of recent Armenia-Azerbaijan peace announcements, which have largely stalled due to subsequent Azerbaijani add-ons and preconditions demanding changes to the Armenian constitution and the dismantling of the OSCE Minsk group. The letter urges decisive American leadership in determining deterring Azerbaijani aggression and addressing obstacles to a just and lasting peace in the South Caucasus. The ANCA welcomes the sustained bipartisan congressional pushback against Azerbaijani attempts to force unilateral concessions, a deeply flawed and patently false peace on Armenia at the point of a gun. Yeah. And the ANCA said ANCA Executive Director Aram Hamparian. I may have met this guy. I keep meeting dignitaries. But I mean, this is East Coast based, and I have been to the East Coast a couple times, so it's possible, but maybe not. Shoulder to shoulder with our congressional allies and coalition partners, we hold that any dialogue toward a durable and just peace must provide for the collective and protected return of Armenians to Artsakh. That was not in the headline, but I was glad it was included. It's the first thing he says. Return them to Artsakh. Ensure the removal of all Azerbaijani forces from Armenian territory. Maintain international monitoring on Armenia's borders. Secure Azerbaijan's release of Armenian hostages. Protect Artsakh's Armenian Christian heritage. Resist Azerbaijani attempts to force Armenian constitutional changes, and defend Syunik as an integral part of sovereign Armenia. This is good, right? This covers it. Like that one statement, it's all encompassing of the absolute essential needs. In their letter, the lawmakers emphasize the need for immediate and concrete U.S. engagement to prevent backsliding in the peace process and to push for the release of Armenian captives. We also strongly agree with Secretary Rubio's statement that now is the time to commit to peace in the South Caucasus, and NSA Waltz's call to finalize this peace deal now, release the prisoners, and work together to make the region more secure and prosperous, wrote the representatives, underscoring the urgency of U.S.-led confidence-building measures. They further emphasized Armenia's geopolitical shift and the critical role in the U.S. in ensuring regional stability. Did I say America's geopolitical shift? If I did, I meant Armenia's. Securing a lasting peace in the South Caucasus is a national security imperative and directly in line with President Trump's global peace initiatives. Considering Azerbaijan's ongoing threats toward Armenia, the United States has a responsibility to pursue important confidence and security building measures. Joining Congressional Armenian Caucus leaders Frank, David, Brad, and Gus in co-signing the letter are, and there's here a list of representatives, and I did read through those or glance through those, familiar name or two. We'll get back to the rest of that paragraph in a second. On April 1st and 2nd, over 100 Armenian American advocates participating in ANCA Advocacy Days mobilized support for the Armenian Caucus letter to Secretary Rubio and National Security Advisor Waltz, among a broad range of pro-Armenian policy priorities. Advocates also pressed for the imposition of global Magnitsky sanctions on Azerbaijan officials for war crimes. A complete cutoff. I used to know what the Magnitsky protocols were. I should re-up my understanding so that I'm articulate in these matters. So much. I have to have my team just brief me with cards to read, so I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Advocates pressed for the imposition of global Magnitsky, I'm always mispronouncing it, Magnitsky sanctions on Azerbaijani officials for war crimes, a complete cutoff of U.S. military aid to Baku. Yeah, we should not be sending any aid to Baku, Azerbaijan. U.S. leadership to secure Azerbaijan's immediate release of Armenian prisoners, and robust U.S. support for the safe and internationally protected right of return for Armenians forcibly displaced from Artsakh. I'm grateful that people are on top of this. It needs to now happen. They're making the right strong arguments. Participants additionally urged congressional action to bolster Armenian genocide education efforts to help prevent future atrocities globally and to counter Turkey and Azerbaijan's international campaign of genocidal denial. That's where I come in. When I saw this last sentence, I'm like, ooh, yeah. You buried the lead. The Soghomon Tehlirian story is Armenian genocide education. Right? These are government officials pushing for expanded Armenian genocide education. That only bodes well for what I've been working on for the last 7+ years. It's like, all right, that's right. It's like, okay, this is something the United States is embracing and welcoming. And now that I have a team together, oh gosh, the stuff I want to tell you. Let's see how much I can tell you. I'll allow the spirit to guide me. But let me just go back and comment a little bit about this article. The little bit of the downside, it's not a big downside, but it is an issue, is okay, so you have the sponsors of the bill or the caucus leaders. It's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Hallelujah, right? Hallelujah. It transcends those differences. However, come on, Republicans. This is not a Democrat issue. Look at this list. This list right here. Come on. Look at that. How many R's do you see in this list, right? It said 25. This is a list of the rest of them. You had 2 and 2 up front that are the leaders. And then you have all these and a single R, Mike Lawler from New York, 1 Republican, right? It's all Democrats. Maybe some of those Republicans saw, oh, Ilhan Omar is in this group. I don't want to be in that group with her, right? Right? I mean, that was likely someone's response. Oh, I don't want to associate with it, right? Somebody, but set that nonsense aside. Even people that you disagree with can be right about things, right? So, but overall, this is good. This is good, articulate. It gets straight to the point, to the heart of the issue, and it's exciting because that was yesterday. All right, I'm just gonna leave this up. I don't like going full screen. I don't like being big in your face. I have too much hair. I don't want to get my hair all over you guys. Washington, D.C. Look at that glorious place. Glorious place now. Hallelujah. All right. Updates. Where do I begin? Oops, this still says Bible every morning. So let's begin by fixing that. This is This Way Network. Actually, it's Sovereign Artsakh. All of the above. I don't have a thing for Sovereign Artsakh yet. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah. Even a brain dead, dementia-ridden president auto pens some document that was a good thing to sign, right? Like, anyway. Where do I want to start? Last night was another. Oh, okay. Let's just talk about last night. Do I talk about last night? So many things I want to say. All right. So where do I begin? So my friend, I think I've told you about her, who's in town from out of town, from Michigan. She's a rock star. She's a rising star in her field. She's a medievalist, uh, specialist in Western Armenian language, translator. She's published a book in Western Armenian, the first person that's not from Western Armenia to publish a book in Western Armenia. And you ask, what? Why don't Western Armenians publish more books? Because they were genocided over 100 years ago. There are no Western Armenians anymore because Western Armenia is now Eastern Turkey, right? So when you hear people say Western Armenia, Western Armenian is a dialect and there's Eastern Armenian. So that's a division, and they can communicate with each other, but the distinct dialects. And Western Armenian is going. My friend, one of her missions is to preserve it so that it doesn't go extinct, so that Western Armenia as a language is preserved, because there's no more Armenians in Western Armenia. Okay, there technically are Armenians in Western Armenia because the Turks and the Kurds took slave girls into their harems and had babies with them. So there are genetic Armenians in Western Armenia. They all think they're Turks, right? They think they're full-blooded Turks, etc. So that's a bit of a tangent. But my friend, who's a specialist in Western Armenian, she's a translator. Soghomon Talerian was a Western Armenian, and he spoke Western Armenian. And so it's good that she's on this project. She's also a specialist in women's literature and women's studies, and so she is going to fill out half of the storyline of the story, because the Soghomon Talerian story is the story of Armenia. It's not. It's Soghomon is the thread that takes you through the whole story, but it's 50-50. It's men and women. You have to tell the full story. And this friend of mine she's just like the perfect fit. And I just met her 2.5 weeks ago. And then she came into town for an event, and last night was her event, right? So she was a star last night, and she was on a panel with 3 other stars, and she was the only woman. And then the moderator was a woman. The 4 experts, all experts in poetry, poetry. And there was 3 gray-haired Armenian men, dignified, distinguished Armenian men, and then my friend. And she's like in her 30s. No, she might be 40. Okay, she has a 21-year-old son. So she's probably maybe in her late 30s, early 40s. But she's definitely stand out as the young generation, the rising star. And I was, I and some of my team were her guests, not like everybody invited guests. But what I didn't realize about this event, well, one thing I did realize, and I went anyway, it was all in Armenian, right? The interview, the answers, everything in Armenian. And I'm sitting there, and I ran into a friend. We'll talk about him in a minute. But I ran into a guy. He's like, here, sit next to this guy. He'll translate for you. He'll give you the bullet points. And that was great. And I made a new friend. But I sat there the whole time, not bored one iota, just intrigued. The Armenian language is music, just the language itself, listening to the articulation. It's soothing and entrancing, and without understanding a word, I was enjoying every second of it. Seriously, and looking around, because this was an academic event, and so there were multiple Armenian high schools present. So like teachers, parents, and students, and they had some presentations as well. So it was really, really, I was not expecting that. I knew it was an academic event, but I didn't realize it was a merging of these 3, I think, Armenian high schools. So it was a packed house. There's probably 60 to 80 people there. It was nice. And so, but I didn't realize it was going to be high school. So I walk in and I see the guy from the Armenian school that's already decided to make me the keynote speaker, right? My main contact is there, and he's surprised, and the principal of the school is there as well. And they are surprised and pleased to see me. And he's the one that found me a place to sit next to somebody who would translate, and then introducing me to people afterwards. And it was just another one of those glorious kind of hobnobbing moments where all like bunch of different team members were there. The guy who introduced me to my medievalist women's studies poet rock star, right? He was there because he had hired her. So he hired her to do his father's biography. His father passed away. His father was of the Armenian Missionary Association of America. So these are some muckety mucks, I guess, that I'm hanging out with. So that was very, very nice. What other updates? What can I tell you? What do I want to tell you guys? Let's see. I know you guys are just hanging over there and having your own chat conversation in the comment section. Let me think. What have I not told you guys about? Well, the Stanford event that was going to be in April has been postponed. The thing that I was going to go speak at, it's still going to happen, but that's been postponed. There's another event that's now on the calendar for the 22nd. Multitasking. Chloe's paying attention. Chloe, we'll call her Mary. The rest of you will call you Martha's. Just kidding. Just kidding. kidding. Yes, Mom, I get it. I was going to make that comment, but you're okay. On that note, women are multitaskers, men are not. I mean, if there's a difference, right? Which there is. Men and women are not the same, and it's not a continuum. They are distinctly different, and that's one of the proven, scientifically studied, research determined differences. And there's a physiological correlation. The corpus callosum. Anyone? Mom might know this. I think Mom probably absolutely knows this. Let's see. What is the corpus callosum in anatomy? You guys are going to look it up. Oh, no. You have Google at your fingertips. The corpus callosum. Anyone? I know there's a little bit of a delay. So, yes, it's in the brain. Yes. It's not necessarily part of the brain. It's maybe the right term is aperture. It's the opening between. It's the missing in some people. Actually, I think you can live without a corpus callosum. It's the opening in between. You guys are still coffee. I do need a cup of coffee. The corpus callosum is the opening between the left and right hemisphere, right? It's the opening where the two hemispheres of the brain are connected. And what's the difference in a male corpus callosum and the female corpus callosum? Little anatomy lesson here. The female corpus callosum is wider. In other words, it's a larger opening than for the male. So the males have a narrower, the alleyway in the brain, right? It's the passage in between. In other words, the C fibers firing, right? There's at every given moment, there's electrical impulses passing through the corpus callosum. But the women have a wider one and men have a narrower one, which means there are fewer signals that are able to pass for males between the left and right hemispheres. So fewer signals are able to pass between, which means women can process and multitask in ways that men cannot, and men are get more focus, are able to focus more on things. That's just God's design. It's not a superiority or an inferiority. It's different and glorious. Hallelujah. Okay. Is this about Armenian life, or do we? That was a digression. Yes. that was me just having fun with you guys. All right, I'll tell you. So my team coming together it's showing some interesting features. So I one of the muckety mucks on the panel last night is kind of a polarizing figure. I didn't know any of this. I didn't look up these people. I just went to see my friend on the panel. And then this other friend of mine introduces me to this guy, this polarizing character. And I'm just me because I'll meet anyone. I'll talk to everyone. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone. That doesn't mean I endorse anyone and everyone, right? And so this friend of mine introduces me to this guy. I'm telling him, and he was on the panel, so he's a muckety muck. He's a known, his name is in the news. Armenians know him, and so I didn't know that. I mean, I assumed he was somebody, but I didn't know the details. So I'm chatting with him, talking to him, telling him the basics, and not trying to bore him, just to get out the pertinent details as quickly as possible. And he's responding, and he kind of cuts me off. I said all that I need to say, but he kind of steps in. He goes, "What you need to do?" No, he didn't say it like that. He says, "Take this in consideration, or you should think about this. I'm not telling you what to do, blah blah blah, but you should." And so he mentions this one actor, this famous, arguably the most famous Armenian actor. I'm going to stop name dropping. I'm going to stop it. He says, he wrote a book and he was thinking about doing this story as a movie, and I worked for an archive at the time, and I was able to give him some answers to questions, and we worked together for a while on this thing, and he was going to go in one direction with it, and I didn't really want him to, but he changed directions, and I was happy, blah, blah, blah. So give me some of these details. He says, "I think you should talk to him, and when you talk to him, tell him you know me." And that was pretty much it. That was the gist of the conversation. I'm like, great, because we actually have a contact to him, and so I went to one of my team members, actually the one that was on the panel, and I went to her and I said, "Hey," he said, "when we talk to Eric, we could name drop him." And then she goes, "Why doesn't he reach out to him?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, actually, that makes sense. Why doesn't he?" And I thought, well, I have the contact information. I know how to get a hold of this guy. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll follow up and bring him into the fold. Maybe I'll bring him on the team, or at least, follow up and, get him involved, at least to that extent, to get this actor involved. And then when I go home, the guy who introduced me to him calls me. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's one more thing. One more thing I wanted to mention. A sentence I didn't complete when we were talking to my friend. Blah blah blah. Yeah, he's a convicted terrorist." I was like, "What?" And pardoned or something, right? Or maybe not pardoned. So did his time. But was granted U.S. citizenship, right? And so it's like, wait a minute, what? And so then when I texted my team later on, I'm like, "Oh, so and so told me who I was really talking to, ha ha ha," or whatever. And both of those team members go, "Yeah, I was like, I was not happy that you were talking to him." The other goes, "Yeah, I forgot too." I'm like, "Wait, why did you tell me that to have him reach out?" I think it was a reaction. So both of my team members were not happy that this other guy was introducing me to this guy. And that's something that's happening more and more. I get introduced to everyone. And in this text conversation this morning, I clarified. I said, "I'm happy to meet everyone. I will talk to anyone and everyone, because Solomon's story is for everyone, but I will not endorse everyone. I will not support. The Solomon Tellurian estate doesn't get behind other people's agendas. It stands alone, which means I stand alone. I will talk to everyone because Solomon Tellurian draws people like Jesus. You lift him up, he will draw people. I lift Solomon up, he draws people. But Jesus doesn't go and endorse Peter's agenda. Like when Peter says, "Get behind," or when Peter says, "No, no, Lord, no, no, Lord, you're not going to die." Jesus doesn't say, "Peter, I like that. I'm going to go with your plan." No, Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan. There is a plan that supersedes everybody else's agenda." That's what I face, right? So You know, there are protocols as a team that we need to set in place, maybe signals they need to give me. I need some scripts, some kind of basic things to say to people in general, but not to go into too much detail with everyone. And the Lord is guiding me. It just makes my team nervous when I'm talking to potentially inflammatory characters. So that was last night. This life is crazy, but I'm enjoying every second of it. I love you guys. Love you, Mom. See you guys.